My name is Katie Rochetko, and this is the Presentational Self Theory presentation. Welcome to my living room. So at first I thought I would tell you a little bit why I decided to choose this theory. And it's very simple. I absolutely love theater. I am a theater girl at heart. When I came to college, like 4 years ago, I thought for sure that I was going to be a theater major. And when I graduated, I was going to move to Hollywood. I was going to become an Oscar award-winning actress, and life was just going to be great. But about my junior year, I realized that I don't have the stamina to audition and face rejection over and over and over again in my life. So I kind of changed communication, and then after I graduated, decided that, hey, I like school, so I'm gonna go to grad school. And therefore, when I was reading, through our textbook, and I saw this presentational self theory that was very dramaturgical, it instantly clicked with me, and I was like, that makes so much sense. So that's why I chose it. Now let's get right in. Before Irving Goffman, there was William Shakespeare. Yes, got to bring back to theater. He had a quote in As You Like It that said, "All the world's a stage, and the men and women are merely players. They all have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his lifetime plays many parts." I mean, that basically sums up what Irving Goffman's presentational self theory is. The presentational self is dramaturgical. It's basically comparing life to theater. Goffman refers to actors as, refers to the individual as an actor, and to his performance as an interaction, and that he's performing before an audience. So it just kind of all made sense to me. But the thing that kind of made the most sense was that ever since I was a little kid, I was always baffled by the fact that when somebody would say, "Oh, just be yourself," I didn't know what they meant, because I was a very self-aware little 8-year-old, and I was like, wait, I'm one way with my parents, I'm one way with my brothers, I'm another way with my theater friends, I'm a different way with my church friends, and I was just like, how in the world can I be myself? Am I just being a hypocrite? Well, Irving Goffman and William Shakespeare, they said it very simply, that everybody has their different roles that they play at different parts in their life. And so it doesn't mean that you are hypocritical or you're one way or not the other. It's just saying that you have multiple roles in life, and each time you're in a new role, then you present yourself in a certain way. So let's bring it back to some terms, and then we'll move on. Some terms that Goffman uses are pretty basic. I mean, like I said, he refers to the individual as an actor, and he says that the interaction or the performance is the interaction. He especially focuses on face-to-face interaction. Let's see what else. He says that the performance can also be referred to as a front, and that a part or routine is simply the pattern of somebody, is more like their character and how they behave on a regular basis. There's a couple terms that are in the Little John and Foss textbook, and that's that a definition is the situation of the circumstances surrounding the individual, that there is the frame, and then also the strips that make up the frame. So strips being like, you get up in the morning, you go brush your teeth, you brush your hair, you get dressed, you walk out the door with your backpack. That's the strips that make up the frame of going to school. I think that, he does refer to frame analysis, and that's just basically when you analyze what people do on a regular basis. What does that mean to you and me, and how does that even apply to life? I did some research, and a lot of my paper focuses on other studies that have kind of used Irving Goffman's theory of the presentational self as the foundation. And one of the really interesting ones I found was this group of people. They decided to analyze computer-mediated communication in shy people and non-shy people. Because remember, Irving Goffman focuses on face-to-face interaction. Well, online, that face-to-face interaction isn't there. So does the gap between shy people and non-shy people kind of shrink on online communication, or does it not? And that's what the theory kind of decided to analyze. And what was interesting is that when people are talking face-to-face, we're able to pick up social cues, body language, the nonverbals. Are they actually paying attention? Are they responsive in a good way or a negative way? We pick up on that, and and then we're able to kind of change our approach in our own communication. Well, online that really isn't there. So when people are disclosing of themselves face to face, they're a bit more just aware of, what might be too much information and what might not. However, online, there isn't any of that kind of like monitoring from other people. So you have kind of like the freedom to be disclose of yourself a lot more online than you do offline. And I just thought that was really interesting. Another one kind of tying into the same thing is Facebook profiles and the self-presentation of yourself via Facebook. You know what I mean? If you think about it, that's kind of the ultimate form of self-presentation today is, we have our Facebook statuses and we post pictures and we have friends that comment back and forth and all of this stuff to kind of tell the world, hey, this is who we are. But the interesting about this study was that it didn't really look at how other people perceive the Facebook profiles of the participants. It was how the participants perceive their own Facebook profiles and whether or not they thought that they were accurate or honest or that there was like a wide range of, information, and that whether or not their Facebook profiles truly reflected the same person that they would see in real life or that they would be in real life. The study found that people do think their profiles are accurate, for simple reasons that, you are friends with if you're friends in real life with the people or some of the people you're friends with on Facebook. So if you were stretching the truth a little too far, obviously your friends would know and you'd be found a blatant liar, and that's not good. But there's like all these things that people do on Facebook that let them think, oh yeah, like this is me. I'm actually presenting the real me. So those are kind of some of the studies I did. I did a couple more, but for the sake of time, I won't bore you with them. Now, with any theory, you're always going to have those haters. I mean, that's kind of the point of it being a theory, is that it's not a law, it's not absolute. So there's always going to be that critic somewhere that kind of negates or tries to negate whatever that it is that theory says. So for Goffman's theory, yes, there are some people who criticize it, calling it metaphorical. And honestly, it's true. The theory is completely metaphorical because it's comparing life to theater and theater to life. So it's an analogy that just kind of, like, it makes sense to a lot of us, but critics say that it makes sense in a slightly too obvious way for it to actually be a communication theory. It just kind of focuses on the obvious just as much as it's like saying that, oh, a photograph represents, nature. Well, obviously. So with that, yeah, okay, it's metaphorical. And it's also, some people say, tautological, which I didn't know what that means, so don't worry if you don't either. It basically just means repetitive, where it's just obvious, redundant. And then there's another critic that says that you can't look at the similarities without also looking at the differences, and that the theory is likeness, but it's not sameness. So you can't say theater is life or life is theater, and that's kind of the foundational part of any communication theory, is looking at what is true. And then, also another thing that some critics look at is the fact that theater is always left to interpretation. And so therefore, how you interpret theater, somebody else is going to interpret differently. And then in the same way, your performance is going to be interpreted differently based on your audience. And that Goffman kind of solely focuses on the actor's perspective and why the actor is doing what he's doing, without looking at how that action is being perceived by his audience, because the audience brings its own bias and past experiences and stuff to do that interpretation. So those are the problems. But I'm just going to conclude by saying that I absolutely love this theory because it doesn't feel so heavy and so scientific that I can't understand it, and I'm just kind of left scratching my head. I love its simplicity, and I love that it is just kind of a metaphor that looks at the observation of life, and it's true. I mean, we all perform in different ways to different people, and this is just kind of one way of defining it. So thank you for watching. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I know I talk fast, so I apologize if you're kind of, if your head is spinning. But yeah, that's me. Thanks for watching. Bye.